Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to North Shore Live, Cooper's Corner. We're live this evening. This is January 29th. I cannot believe it. Look how fast already the time has flown. I'm still back at Christmas time. It was pretty good. It was nice weather, and New Year's Eve, that was wonderful. And now we're almost to the end of the first month of the 2020 year. And the second decade. We have a wonderful program for you, educational, inspirational, and something you need to know. First, I want to make sure that everybody's okay, that you're connecting with next door neighbors, and you're making sure that no one's slipping on the ice. Throw a little salt down, and there's special stuff for pets that you put down that they don't get the salt in their paws and lick it and not be well, get sick. So just take care of each other. Next door neighbor, give a knock on the door or a phone call if you're not close enough to walk, and just say hello, and I want to see if you're okay. It's kind of a wellness check without having to call the police to do a wellness check. But if you feel that that's necessary and you've not seen your neighbor in a while, maybe you need to look at that. Also, watch the driveway and the front door, see if it's been walked on or driven through or whatever, and just to make sure that everything is okay. So January 29th, 2020, incredible. Well, this evening's program is very important for you to know, to hear, to understand, and maybe to be a volunteer or help out. It's here in Lake County, which, just hop in your car and you can be there. This is a situation that needs attention. Can't really be put off because lives are at stake. Every time you take a breath of air, or you play in the snow, or you're outside, this can harm you. I have as my guest this evening Yolanda, and Yolanda is a wonderful, co-founder of this organization called EtO.
Stop EtO in Lake County.
Stop EtO in Lake County. And let me just read this one thing, and then we'll go into it. Yolanda was kind enough to give me some paperwork, which I'm sure if you contacted her, she'd be happy to send you to inform you fully. And it says, what is EtO? Ethylene oxide. EtO is a colorless, odorless, and explosive chemical used for the medical sterilization and consumer product manufacturing. And the second paragraph is, why is EtO dangerous? Ethylene oxide is a mutagenic and changes cell DNA. In 2016, the EPA categorized EtO a known human carcinogen. Human studies indicate long-term exposure increases the risks of breast cancer and white blood cell cancers, including non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, myeloma, and lymphatic leukemia. The EPA now states EtO is 60 times more toxic to children and 30 times more toxic to adults than previously estimated. I guess I have to read this. It's in print. It's public knowledge. Yeah. Who are main EtO emitters? They emit this gas in Lake County. Medline in Waukegan. It's a sterilization plant that sterilizes instruments for medical use and things. And Vantage Chemicals in Gurnee. It's a consumer products company. Continuously releasing EtO in Lake County. Between years 2010 to 2016, total ETO emissions were an estimated minimum 33,976 per pound, excludes fugitives ETO emissions, equipment and human error, whatever that could be. And so before we go any further, and I'm reading this, I need to let Yolanda connect with you and me and educate us on this terrible, terrible situation, because Yolanda, we've heard about sterogenics.
Yes.
Okay, so how close does this come to sterogenics?
Yes.
And is sterogenics still
operating?
Yeah.
So this news broke in Willowbrook, where there was a facility by the name of Sterogenics, and they were also emitting this gas, ethylene oxide. They found out in August of 2018. Then the same author that revealed the news around ethylene oxide up there published an article in November in the Chicago Tribune telling us that there's also 2 facilities in Lake County who are also emitting ethylene oxide. We don't have 1 facility in Lake County, we have 2 of them, and they are only 3 miles apart. So they are very close. So we're almost getting a double dose of this gas being emitted. The challenge also is we have it's a very highly residential area. There are houses right next door to these facilities. We have a school. Little kindergartners and second graders are attending school right next door to Vantage, half a mile away. If the wind is blowing towards that school, those emissions are blowing towards our children. And as you've met, children are more vulnerable than adults, right? They're growing,
sure.
Their bodies are developing, their cells are, mutating. This is a very toxic gas. We don't want it in Lake County. We don't want it next to any house and any school. So this movement was started by parents. I'm a mom. I have 2 boys. I have a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old. My son actually attended that school. He is no longer at that school after the air monitoring results came out in June that the Lake County Health Department conducted. It's a travesty, really. As we've been advocating and raising awareness around this issue in Lake County and Gurnee and Waukegan and the surrounding communities, which are also impacted because the wind blows, we have encountered a ton of stories. Moms with breast cancer, children, little 3-year-olds with leukemia. It's heartbreaking, but it is the fuel that adds fire to our movement because we know that this is wrong and we want to prevent. We shouldn't live in an area with an elevated cancer risk. So that's what keeps driving us.
It really should not be in a residential area.
That is the key. I mean, we've had some success with passing legislation in the spring of 2019 that helps reduce some of the emissions, but ultimately it doesn't eliminate it, and it's still in our community. The other element about ethylene oxide is it's incredibly explosive. In East Gurnee, we've had some explosions recently in May of 2019, last year.
Home explosions?
A facility. So we had...
Facility? I remember that.
Yeah, AB Silicone. That is in the same block and neighborhood where Vantage is located. That was a hydrogen explosion. It rocked houses 2 miles away. It was heard 10 miles away. Schools and houses cannot be next to these facilities. It's just wrong. Ethylene oxide is used, it's an ingredient in thermobaric weapons. It's used in bombs. It's incredibly explosive. If that facility were to ever explode, that's another risk. I mean, cancer and breathing in toxic air is one risk, but the explosive risk of this gas is also a very real concern for parents and for residents.
Now you've got here affected areas. These are very close. I mean, people that live here on the North Shore think that they're safe from everything. If the wind blows, they're not safe from anything.
That's true. So we have, this gas has a half-life between 50 to 60 days, so it lives in the air until it breaks down, until it reacts with other, whether it's sunlight or rain or water. And the challenge is when the wind takes this emission and blows it a mile this way or 2 miles that way, it impacts everybody. It continues to live on. We live in a fishbowl, right? It's not this open space. We look at the Australia fires that were happening recently. Those fires all the way in New Zealand, the air traveled. So we are all interconnected. This is not a Lake County issue or a Gurnee or a Waukegan issue. This is an issue for many communities in Lake County up north, including the North Shore.
The affected areas you've got down here, Willowbrook, cancer study, toxic EtO reach is a minimum of 6 miles, impacting Gurnee, Gages Lake, Wildwood, Wadsworth, Park City, Waukegan, North Chicago, Abbott Park, Green Oaks, Libertyville, Lake Bluff, and Lake Forest.
Yes.
Now, the people in Lake Forest, are they aware of this?
We're trying. I mean, right now we're so focused on making sure that our immediate communities, the closer you are to these emissions, the worse it is for you, right? Because it's not dispersed, the wind doesn't disperse it. So, but we've most certainly have tried to engage Libertyville and Lake Bluff and other communities. We have flyers in Lake Bluff at the train station posted. So we are most definitely trying to reach surrounding communities. But our target right now has been at the local, at the Gurnee, because the reason we're advocating so heavily in Gurnee and Waukegan is because those are the local leaders and the legislators, I mean really representatives of the village, that have the power to do something about it, whether it's a local nuisance ordinance or
they
live there. Right.
So are they willing to take a chance with their life, their children's lives, their family's life, by not doing something about this?
Right.
As long as there is a outcry from the public.
Right.
And we're voters. This is a voting year. Hello,
That's right.
hello.
That's right.
They want to be in office. That don't just give me lip service.
Yes.
Let's see what you can actually accomplish.
That is absolutely correct. And so, as constituents living in a community that's impacted by the gas, we have been advocating. We have been raising awareness because there's a lot of individuals who haven't even heard of Sterigenics. There's a lot of individuals.
On TV. I really did.
There's a lot of individuals that don't know this is an issue in Lake County. So our goal as this Stop EtO in Lake County movement is to ensure that everybody's aware of it, and our collective voices will be the drive that will actually put an end to this ridiculous situation.
Now, did we get some kind of legislation going?
Yes. So, with Stop Sterigenics advocating, and along with, Stop EtO in Lake County, we have been incredibly lucky that we had some legislation passed in last year in May. We had Senate Bill 1852 and Senate Bill 1854. It is a starting point. Those bills are not strong enough. They do not eliminate ethylene oxide. They do not move these facilities away from residential areas and away from schools. You can't open a brand new facility. The Senate Bill 1852 basically says if you are going to create a brand new sterilization facility, you cannot open next to a school. So new development is protected. So if somebody came to the North Shore and say, I would like to open a sterilization medical facility that uses ethylene oxide to sterilize, they would not be able to do that within 10 miles of schools. But existing facilities that are already there, that rule doesn't apply. Existing facilities have to reduce their emissions. They have to add additional emission controls.
They're producing the same situation then.
They are. They are.
What difference does it make? Why can't they just move it? Or
So that's a very good point. And Bev, what we're doing is we are pushing for stronger legislation in this spring session. So we've tried to pass a bill in the veto session in the fall. It passed the House, but it didn't pass the Senate. It never actually made it to the floor for a vote. It got killed in the Senate Executive Committee. We are going for round 2 in the spring, this session right now, and we are going to push for a stronger bill that will protect our children. This facility cannot be next to schools. Like it makes no sense.
Is there any place that you know of? I mean, it's not our obligation to tell the people where to move, you know. But is there anywhere that they could move it? Is it because they're getting such a good, tax rate in Lake County, low tax, or out of the area?
Right, out of the area. Of course, they can move it elsewhere, right? We have plenty of available land and rural areas within Illinois, right? So it doesn't have to be in in a community, and let's give you some numbers. So Gurnee has over 30,000 residents. Waukegan has over 87,000 residents. Park City has 7,500 residents. Just those three areas alone, which are immediately close to the facilities, that's 126,000 individuals that live that are inhaling this gas, right? And that does not even count Green Oaks, Libertyville, Grayslake, Wadsworth, all the surrounding communities. We have hundreds of thousands of people. It does not make sense to have such a facility next to hundreds of thousands of people, and especially little kids. So that's why we're here, and we want to reach additional listeners, reach additional viewers, to ensure that they are aware, that they do the research, they do their homework, and they help advocate to promote clean air for people in Lake County.
Well, it's going to be
everywhere.
Clean air for everybody.
For the state.
The air is everywhere. It doesn't just stop and say, no, I can't go past here. But
exactly.
Yolanda, as long as we're talking, let's get some info in. How could people contact you?
Yes, so thank you for that. So we are very active on social media. We have a website called StopEtO.com, and from that website you can launch into the different social media platforms. So we have a Facebook group called Stop EtO in Lake County. We are on Twitter. There's also a link out there on our website for that. We're on Instagram. It's a way for us to reach, and educate other residents who might not be aware of it. Unfortunately, we have not gotten the TV media coverage that the Willowbrook community and the Stop Sterigenics movement has gotten down there. So everybody's aware of that because they see it on the news.
Wow.
We are trying to push for that. Our goal is to ensure that we do get the TV coverage, because people might not read the newspaper, but they do watch TV. We love our televisions.
Yep, it sure does. When you're not feeling well, that's the only entertainment that you've got.
Yeah. So StopEtO.com.
StopEtO.com. Now, my question is, when this building was built, is it a new building or is it relatively old?
Has it been? So depending on which one. So Medline inherited a facility. So they moved there in the kind of mid to late 90s, and they bought that facility from another sterilizing company. So they've been there for, over 2 decades.
So they are doing the same thing the previous tenants were doing?
Yes.
No one made a complaint at that time, or no one knew?
We didn't know. Nobody complained because nobody knew about it. This gas is colorless, it's odorless, it is the invisible enemy. That is the challenge. If in a traditional pollution sense, you can smell it, it stinks, it's dirty, you can taste it. This is different. This is different because you can't smell it, and you can smell it in extremely high. It has a sweet scent in extremely high quantities, but for the quantities that are being emitted, you will not be able to smell it. So you think you live in a clean air. I used to go for walks. I love Lake County because of the beautiful forest preserves and the Des Plaines River Trail. We are very active. That's why we live up there, because we love the nature. To think you're going for a walk and you're doing something active and something healthy, but you're inhaling an invisible and an odorless gas that increases your risk for cancer. That's really, truly upsetting. And just so you know, when Michael Hawthorne published that article in the Tribune, he identified 109 census tracts out of thousands all over the country. So out of the entire nation, all of the United States, there's 101 census tracts that have this problem. And Lake County and Willowbrook were some of those communities. So we are one of that 109 census tracts. So that tells you how rare this problem is in other communities across the U.S., but it's still there.
This is, it's not that it's unbelievable, but I don't like the fact that the company does not let the residents in the immediate area, especially as school, let them know that this is
occurring.
A dangerous thing that's going on, that they should take precautions. And what precautions could you possibly take?
Well,
if it's in the air, people walk around with gas masks.
Right. So if you work with this gas, right, you wear equipment. You have
a hazmat suit.
Of course, you wouldn't walk into a sterilization room. So, but the person living next door does not have the same luxury, right? They're not wearing any protective gear. They don't have so. it's very important to educate yourself to see what businesses do I live next to, what are they doing, what are they emitting. That's the lessons we've learned, because we didn't know. We were like, oh, it looks like steam. Oh,
yeah,
they're
steam.
You don't know. So it's very important to really take matters into your own hand. And before you buy a house and before you settle down and you got to see what's next door to you. And I think that's the lesson that we learn as part of this movement is, gosh, we had no idea. We had absolutely no idea. If it wasn't for that Chicago Tribune article back on November 2nd, we would still be in the dark.
Now, was it ABC or NBC? Who did the TV?
It was the TV series that the Sterigenics. I was, I believe, CBS with David Savini.
Have you contacted CBS?
We have reached out to a variety of media outlets, of course. We continue to prod and invite them to Lake County. We invite them to our meetings. If we have a community meeting or a town hall or a forum, we always invite the media. And sometimes they show up and sometimes they don't. So we always extend the invitation.
There's got to be another area to explore, because it doesn't sound like, I know that you're working very diligently on this to save the children, my goodness sake, and save yourself.
Of course.
What good are the children without their parents?
It's
if the mothers pass away? This is terrible.
Right.
So you need to get a little bit more forceful. That's all. That's all I can say. Is you need to be more forceful.
Yeah.
You can take, a state representative will say, well, we'll get to see it in about 30 or 90 days. No, you can't wait, because you invite them to come live in your neighborhood. Here is a bed. Here, I'm happy to serve you breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
You live in my house.
You live next door to a facility.
You live next door, and we're going to see if you contract anything, and then let's see how fast you move.
Right. That is a very good point, Bev.
You can tell people to stop smoking cigarettes, but if they live in the factory where the tobacco is grown, even if they get a carton of cigarettes free, that's not going to stop the cancer from occurring.
Right. And, that's actually a great analogy. So when you smoke cigarettes, it increases your chance of getting cancer. You're not necessarily 100% guaranteed that you're going to get cancer because you're a lifetime smoker. Your odds of getting cancer go up.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent with this gas. Not everybody who lives in the community is going to get cancer, but the odds of somebody contracting cancer, especially if you're close, it's like if you're smoking versus secondhand smoke, the more exposure you have to a toxin, the more the likelihood of something happening, your cell mutating and becoming carcinogenic, it goes up. So the key is, you would never give your child a pack of cigarettes.
Go smoke a
pack of cigarettes, and that would be okay.
I want a candy bar, Mommy.
No,
pick a pack of cigarettes.
Right. Yeah. So the equivalent, you should never have a child with the same cancer risk living, attending school next to a facility that puts them at risk. So it's, for us, we always say in our movement, common sense. The individuals who are involved in this movement, who are advocating, who are spreading awareness, we're just ordinary professionals, parents, and for us this is common sense, and we want to convey that, and we want our legislators and our local leaders, we want them to see the common sense of it as well. So that's really our goal, is to really.
This reminds me very much of Flint, Michigan. With the water running.
Yes.
And they wanted to save money.
Yep.
So they let the people drink this.
Yes.
This terrible water. Oh my goodness.
Right. Yes.
They wouldn't drink it themselves, but it's okay for the community to drink it.
Right.
They came down with terrible things, and they were dying.
Yep.
This is terrible. So what can we do? We certainly will have you back on the program many times.
Thank you.
You never even have to ask. Just say. Yeah. This date, absolutely.
Yeah. So what we really, really want individuals to do is to contact their legislator, so who represents you locally, and let them know, I am concerned about the ethylene oxide emissions that are happening in Lake County, from Medline, from Vantage. What is happening? Because ultimately, the representatives represent the interests of the people. We vote them, and they are our voice. They are public servants. So there's no greater method of exercising your voice than to contact your legislators. If thousands of people call their legislators, say, I'm really concerned about this issue. I live right next door to this facility. We need to do something about this. I bet you that legislator will listen and they will act. That is the tell your leaders, tell your legislator, your representatives, your state senators, your federal representatives, and your federal representatives. If they hear from the community that this is a concern and we need something done, it will become front and center on their agenda to tackle. So, and we've been, and to kind of to that point, we've been incredibly lucky because we've had good legislators up north of Lake County. So we have Senator Melinda Bush, who spearheaded and really pushed through the legislation that we were able to pass back in May, Senate Bill 1852 and 1854. She really fought hard for it. We want her to continue to champion for a stronger bill on our behalf, but she has been very a strong supporter of ours. We've had Representative Rita Mayfield, also, with House Bill 3888, which is a stronger bill, pushing that through the House and really advocating for our community because this impacts her district, Waukegan, and so
anywhere people are breathing.
Anywhere people are, so
you have to breathe.
Yeah. So Senator Duckworth, at the federal level, Senator Durbin at the federal level. So all of these key elected officials, we need to make noise. We need to contact them collectively. If hundreds of people are making calls and are sharing their concerns, they listen.
What is a very good thing? I mean, we're here in Illinois, and Dick Durbin is in Washington. If we call him in Washington, even if he's sitting in the Senate or whatever, call his office and tell him that you heard this on cable TV and you want something done about it.
Yep.
Don't just give lip service.
Yes.
But get something done. Yes. So we who live here in Illinois, please contact Senator Dick Durbin in Washington, D.C. I don't have his direct number, but I know Washington is 202.
If you go to the Stop EtO website, we have all of the legislators linked, so federal legislators, state legislators. If you click their, there's their image and contact information, it will redirect you to their site, and it will have contact details there. So if you go to stopeto.com, you will be able to find the appropriate contact information.
Stopeto.com, and you'll find it.
Yes.
And I don't know, is Dick Durbin up for? He's been in the Senate for 40 years. Give the guy a rest. Let's put somebody else in if he can't do his job.
Dick Durbin has been very supportive from the sense that
talk is exactly talk. It's in the air, but so is the submission in the air. You need someone to have hands-on to do. What are they waiting for? One of the children to die? You want to carry a corpse of a child to Dick Durbin's office and say, look, this is what you didn't do. You didn't save this baby's life. I mean, get violent. Violent as far as your emotions with this, because you can't fix it after it's past the point. You cannot fix it. I mean, here you've got St. Jude's trying to stop.
And Illinois has a very high rate of pediatric cancers.
So, contact Dick Durbin. Senator Durbin, if you're watching or you're listening, because this is going to be on YouTube, the whole world will see it and hear it. And you're in the Senate now. This is January 29th, 2020, and you're there taking care of other business, but this is your home state speaking, Senator Durbin, and we don't want to know about what elections are doing. If you want to be reelected at any other time, you've already made what you're going to make. Save these people. Save these people. And you've got to breathe the air too. So I think it would behoove you to be able to put hands on to do something. Flint, Michigan, look what happened to those children in Flint, Michigan. Look at the stereogenics, what happened there. Maybe they need to do a story on Senator Dick Durbin, a reporter, a TV reporter, to follow him around to ask him, Senator Durbin, what are you going to do about this?
So, Bev, a lot of our efforts right now are focused at the state level.
He's the state.
Yeah. And
he lives here.
Yeah, in state legislation. And our federal legislators are also very supportive. So Dick Durbin has been incredibly supportive of our cause. He's given speeches on the floor. But you're right, speeches, but we want action. We want results. We want a strong piece of federal legislation around this toxic gas. We want a strong piece of legislation at the state level and at the Illinois Senate to pass as well. or at the local level as well. It's the local leaders of Gurnee, the local leaders of Waukegan. They're also representative. So if there's one takeaway, is just contact your legislators, contact all of your state representatives, all of your federal representatives, your local mayor, your local board, and let them know you're concerned.
It sounds, I know you're doing work at this level here, but to me, in my ear, and to a politician, is just soft. It's soft because you're not enforcing them to use hands-on. Let's see them at the site. Go to what is it? Medline.
Yep.
Go to Medline. Yep. Go see the building.
Yeah.
Go see where the school's located. Don't send an aide. Go yourself there and see what's going on. Do you want to go? They'll say, well, I'm very busy. Do you want an oxygen mask? We'll supply you with whatever you want. Go and see it. We'd like to take a picture with you right there at Medline and the school to see what this is about. Yeah. What does the school principal say? What does the school superintendent say?
So that is a very good question, and the schools are very hesitant to take a strong stance because they think this is politics. We've been told
dead babies are politics?
We, as parents, we do not feel this is politics.
It's like talking about the veterans. Yes. I don't like that. As you see, I have two sons that were in the military, one Army, one Navy, and they came back okay, but I'm saying to you...
This is not a political issue. This is a health issue, and it impacts the children at that school. It impacts the administration, the teachers, and anybody who works there, and they should be a lot more involved than they are. Unfortunately, they are not. We're trying to change that with our advocacy.
The teachers aren't concerned about their health?
I think everybody's concerned. It's just a matter of, a strong stance. Has a strong stance been made by the school district or by... We haven't seen it yet. But I will say in Willowbrook, the schools took a very strong stance to the point where they were rerouting the school buses around the facility so they didn't go next to it. So... different communities, different local leaders, different school administrators and superintendents, different approaches, unfortunately.
I wonder if there was ever a diagnostic testing or whatever to contact each one of these areas. Lake Forest, you've got down here, Libertyville, you've got down here. I'm not talking about socioeconomic, I'm talking about diagnostic, biologic things, and to do a blood test, like you said, that they did.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So UIC, Dr. Susan Buchanan, came to Lake County to do a pilot study. So she asked for volunteers to donate their blood, and what she was looking for is elevated EtO in your hemoglobin adducts. And the results of the pilot study is there was a significant statistical significance for individuals who live closer to the facility versus further. So for example, if you lived within a half a mile of Medline, you had elevated EtO hemoglobin adducts. But if you lived further away, beyond the half a mile, your levels were lower. So that tells you the closer you live to it,
it's dangerous.
It's more concern, right? You're more at risk.
And the consideration of the children, the families, the pets.
Of course, any living being, any living organism, right? Ethylene oxide, the reason that they use it is so efficient and so effective. You infuse your chamber of all your medical instruments. They're all prepackaged. The gas seeps right through it. It kills off all the germs and bacteria. And what do you think that does to a living organism? That same gas.
Does it make it healthy?
And they try to scrub it out before they emit it, but there's fugitive emissions, there's stack emissions that come through the actual stack, and then there's fugitive emissions. Fugitive emissions are leaks, somebody opens the door and suddenly the air blows, or there's, irresponsible behavior in the facility. I mean, that was a problem at Sterigenics.
Well, we saw when he had it on the TV, I was stunned.
Yeah.
That somebody, the doors were open, but there was some liquid that would drain out, or they were washed on the floors, liquid would be going out.
There was definitely bad behavior, but we don't know if that's the situation in Lake County. But bottom line is, if we're relying on properly trained individuals to deal with this toxic, we need protections. We need protections through legislation, because we will not be at the mercy of somebody just doing their job responsibly and
yeah, that's what they'll say. That's exactly what
we've had air monitoring in June. The Lake County Health Department conducted air monitoring. They also conducted air monitoring in the fall as well. And when the wind was blowing towards the canisters, we've seen elevated levels of EtO. Some canisters were, so if the actionable level is 0.02 micrograms per cubic meter, think of seeing a canister that had a value of 10. So your risk at 0.02 versus 10, that's off the chart. So if the wind's blowing towards your house on that particular day and Medline's emitting this gas, like that's
not good.
That's not very good. It's not very good for your health.
This is not good.
Yeah.
This is not good. When is the next time you might be having a meeting or?
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. So we have we attend all of the local village meetings. So Village of Gurnee, City of Waukegan. So their meetings are 2 times a month on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. So it's like the first Monday and the third Monday of the month. So that's always a meeting. We're having a meeting this Saturday at the Gurnee Library. The Warren Newport Library. It's just an informational community meeting. We do those on a regular basis once a month. There's plenty of people who have never heard about this issue, so we want to enlighten them, educate them, and invite them to join this to collectively raise our voices. We are also having a legal forum, where we've invited law firms that will answer questions around if I have cancer and I live next to this facility, what are my rights? What should I do? So it will provide a forum for impacted residents, who can ask questions, in a legal setting with several law firms that have advocated for Sterigenics and throughout.
I'm just thinking about all the stores, the restaurants,
the businesses,
the businesses that are there.
That is a very good point. Lake County is the number 3 tourist destination in Illinois. People come to Gurnee Mills. People come to Six Flags Great America in Gurnee. Yeah. We are inviting millions of people to come visit our community, but yet our air is not very great. It's a concern.
Excuse me. Wearing this little face mask, that doesn't do any good. Mm-mm. That seeps through anything. Mm-hmm. It just goes through it. It just goes through it.
Yeah, it's truly a travesty.
This is really very dangerous. Mm-hmm. Really very, very dangerous. And it's explosive.
Yes.
My goodness sakes, it's flammable gas.
Yes.
It's are they waiting for the building to blow up next to the school?
God forbid, Bev, because if it did, it would be catastrophic. The AB silicone facility where that exploded, it exploded at 9 o'clock at night. If that facility were to have,
the day?
There's there's a bus parking lot, and the buses transport the children right next to that facility. Vantage, the roads right by Vantage, there's buses going to that school in the morning and in the afternoon dropping off kids. We don't even want to imagine it. I, as a parent, am not comfortable having my child next to such a facility. But not everybody's in a position where they could relocate their child to a different school, right? I mean, not everybody can afford private school. Not everybody can afford to move, to sell their home. And even if you were to sell that home, how morally irresponsible is that to pass off this problem to someone else and not to tell them?
You have to tell them.
So we are fighting this because this is wrong. It does not belong in our air. We deserve clean air. Anybody who lives in Lake County, it's a wonderful community. Gurnee is a beautiful community. We've got wonderful tourist attractions. And if we address this problem is solved. This ethylene oxide, it dissolves in the air, 50 to 60-day half-life. It's not like a Superfund site. We do not have a Superfund site on our hands. We can fix this problem, and that is why we're here. We're trying to unite our voices, encourage our legislators to pass a strong bill to put an end to this, because it's just not right.
Not right. This is horrific. This is absolutely horrific. People move out.
Can you imagine being the mother of a 3-year-old boy with leukemia, and you've lived in that community for 10 years
God
right next door to
forbid.
Medline, and you found out your child has leukemia, how would you feel knowing that ethylene oxide is associated with causing leukemia? It's
words
just...
can't express that.
Yes.
Words can't express that.
It's awful.
I mean, I'm the mother of 7 children, so I can tell you. We moved to Lake County almost 45 years ago because the schools, we were so taken by the schools and the education and the people in the area that and the culture and the music and the art, and this was definitely where you wanted to be and raise your children.
Of course, of course.
So you didn't want to live out in the middle of the haystacks, so this is where you wanted to be.
Right.
And for this, I mean, people, it just, something blows your mind. Words can't even express. It just makes me full of anger that someone could pull this off.
Yeah.
And that the parents and the school doesn't want to do anything.
Bev, I almost feel like the challenge that we face is the invisible nature of it. Because when somebody dumps a garbage truck into the river, it's very visible. You're polluting the river. You're going to make us sick. The water's going to be terrible. The water, when it's dirty, it's very visible. This is invisible. And this is the challenge. People... It's hard to fathom. Like, I'm breathing in air that's infused with a known carcinogen, a known mutanogen, but I can't see it, I can't smell it, I can't taste it. I must be fine. That is where the challenge is. It's not a visible and a detectable poison. But it's there. It's there because we've done the testing. We've tested the air, we've tested our blood, and we've got evidence that it's there. And they're emitting it because they acknowledge it. They self-report to the Illinois EPA how much they're emitting every year. And if you look at the self-reported values over the past few decades, there should be not another pound allowed in our community if you look at what was emitted over the past years. And if you look at the impact on our community, those 3-year-olds with leukemia, that mom with breast cancer, it's awful.
It's not awful. It's tragic. This is, and should not be. It should not be.
No.
When you move into a community, hopefully to raise your family and to be there, be happy, and be a participant and whatever, you want to do this with your full intentions of living a long life and being there and being happy.
Bev, what good is it to feed your children organic fruits and veggies, to tell them to eat your vegetables, eat your fruit, get plenty of exercise? So you're doing all these things to promote their well-being and their health. When they're inhaling a known carcinogen. Yeah. They're inhaling a known carcinogen on a daily basis. You're negating anything good that you're doing.
What about some of the churches, any of the pastors, any of the ministers?
So one church that has been very, very supportive is the Islamic Foundation North. They've been on board and very supportive from day one. We are trying to engage other churches in the community and spread awareness. So that is something that we're actively pursuing right now.
I mean, it's well worth to go to church on Sunday.
Yes.
And, well, you go to the pastor first. You ask him if you could, make a comment or a statement, or if he would like to read it.
Yes.
And it's got to blow his mind. He lives there. He's on the pulpit. He's saying to his parishioners.
Right.
I mean, this would be
it's a very good idea to raise awareness and to continue to reach a larger audience.
The churches would be. You should send one to every church every Sunday. Be there. Sit there. Go to the black churches. Go to wherever you need to go.
Right.
The more people you can connect with, certainly cable TV, as we're on, is going to reach a whole lot more than what you can do in a church. But it's the people that live there that are saying, "Why weren't we told about this?
Right.
Why weren't we told about this?" And that they would Medline would still continue doing what it's doing without feeling any emotion or regret or anything.
So, which is a great point, Bev, is if it wasn't for this community and this movement that started in November of 2018, would Medline be installing additional equipment control? I think it's $10+ million of equipment that they're putting in. Would they be doing that out of their own goodwill, or would they just volunteer to do that? No, because it's a business expense, and they want to do the bare minimum to meet federal regulations. The regulations have not been updated for decades. This is why we need a strong piece of legislation. We need to, now that the science, this is a definitive carcinogen, as of 2018, it's a lot more harmful than we previously thought. We need a strong bill at the federal level and at the state level to put an end to this insanity.
You need to close them down.
Yeah.
You need to close them down.
So
whatever scrubbing they're going to do isn't going to do anybody good.
We fear the fugitive emissions continue. That's a big fear of ours. We fear that the scrubbers will reduce everything, right? They'll probably reduce, but they won't eliminate. And we all want to eliminate, especially given that our community has been exposed to this gas for 2 decades. And ultimately, Medline does more than just sterilize. They manufacture equipment. They put kits together. That part of the facility can continue to function in Lake County. We welcome the jobs, right? We welcome them as a business in our community. Yeah. But the emission and the sterilization component of their business, that is what we want to be moved away from houses and moved away from schools. Because that's what's causing the harm. It's not the assembly of the kits or manufacturing the products. If you're not emitting a toxic gas next to schools, we're fine with you being next door. We welcome the jobs. We welcome you in our community. But you have to act responsibly. It is irresponsible to be emitting a known carcinogen into the air for decades.
What about the young married couples that want to start a family and they find out that they're sterile? They can't do that.
Ethylene oxide is a cancer and reproductive hazard.
Hello.
There has in the Willowbrook community, there have been stories around miscarriages and around reproductive issues. So you don't want to be inhaling this. It causes, and that cancer is the worst of your problems. There's eye irritation, nose irritation. There's digestive issues that we're reporting in our community. There's other health problems that are associated to this. Cancer, leukemia, breast cancer, lymphoma. Those are like the worst case scenario, but there's other less severe, health impacts that this causes.
Is there any way that anyone connected with the CDC and have someone come up and speak?
Yeah. So we've been in contact with the ATSDR. The CDC actually funded the UIC blood study that was conducted back at the end of August of last year. So they're definitely watching. I almost feel like our community is being treated like lab rats. We know this is harmful, then why are we even conducting a study? It just shouldn't be allowed to be emitted next to schools. What else do you need to study? The research is there. We have a ton of research on employees and workers who have been working around ethylene oxide. Granted, they've been exposed to a lot higher levels of EtO, but the research now shows that even minor, because it's a mutanogen, even minor exposure is harmful because it has the potential to mutate your cell.
Of course.
So we know the research and the science is settled, despite Medline and other corporate, big businesses disputing it because they want to continue to operate business as usual. The science is settled, and it's a toxin, and it shouldn't be allowed next to residential areas.
Yolanda, give the information where they can connect with you again, please.
Sure. So our website is stopeto.com. We have on there links to our social media platforms. So we are very active on Facebook with Stop EtO in Lake County under that group name. You could join the group. We have a Facebook page you can just like. We have a Twitter account you can follow. We have an Instagram account you can follow. On our website, we do have our events posted, so upcoming events. Underneath, there's a tab for events, so you can see the location, the time, and where it's happening. And just stay connected. Contact your legislators. Tell your neighbors. Have your neighbors tell their neighbors. Invite them to the group. They will stay up to date. Anytime there's an article published or news breaks around whether Medline just closed down their facility, we will post all of that on our website. We will post all of that on our Facebook page.
And certainly to invite any news media, whether written or
of course.
Video or whatever, to your meetings. And
we sure do.
It would be a good idea to get, even at the meetings, get some of the pastors from the churches.
Yes.
If you go to the church, you listen to them, then you speak there, and invite them to come to your group gathering, and so they can see how many people are interested. Sometimes, people don't want to get involved. They say, well, somebody else will pick it up, pick up the, the torch, pick up the torch and they'll carry it.
Right.
But you need everybody, anybody that's vocal enough to speak.
Great point. So you're right. You can't have just a group of people just working. No. Everybody needs to come together, unite their voices, because there's power in numbers.
Oh yeah, very much.
We have influence in large numbers. So
you do.
We continue to grow this movement. We continue to raise awareness. We invite others to join us and to help advocate for this cause.
And so again, I say is that how many have contacted Dick Durbin? Send them, call them up, send a mail, whatever.
We have these call to actions, so you can sign up as part. If you visit our website, there's a place for you can sign up for a newsletter, and you can sign up for. You can send an email to us directly if you want to contact us. We have call to actions that we add you to our mailing list, we will say this week let's say we have a strong bill that we introduced in Springfield, and we need all hands on deck.
Okay.
We need postcards, everybody to fill out postcards. We need phone calls, we need media coverage. We have call to actions, and it will tell you here's who we were going to focus on this week, here's who we're going to call, here's who we want to contact and want to advocate, because this individual is right now a roadblock, or etc. So we sign up for our distribution list, sign up for a newsletter, and you will stay in in the up to date. Stay in the loop and up to date on this issue.
This information that I have here, you could get this letter.
Yes, we have. It's a flyer that was created, and we have this flyer posted on our Facebook group.
Good.
Yes.
This gives you information on what's going on, the air monitoring readings, the areas affected. What if there's any other areas that say, hey, I saw this on cable. I want to know, is our area affected too? If Lake Forest is affected, what do you think about Highland Park? What do you think about Deerfield, Northbrook?
Like I mentioned, we live in a fishbowl, right? The air travels, and if it doesn't break down for 50 to 60 days, it blows where the wind blows. So, nor do you want a facility just to come into your neighborhood and set up shop and do this, and you won't know it because you can't smell it or you see it. So it's very important to stay involved, stay engaged, and inform yourself on what's happening in your community.
I'm concerned that the schools are not doing something, and that they're probably just worried. The school superintendent is worried about their job, but if they die, they won't have a job.
I know.
It sounds cruel and sounds hurtful, but if you don't tell them the truth, then when they do pass away, and people they'll say, "Oh, he was too young. Why did he die?" Oh, we don't know. Well, he's right next door to Medline.
I know. We keep advocating. Just recently, we attended a school board meeting where our representatives presented as concerned parents who have children in the school district how we want the school to take a stronger stance. There was an article published about it, which is, you can link to it on our website. There's a link to it so you could read about that meeting and what was said and who said. So it's not like we're not trying. We are most certainly trying. This is not a political issue. This is a health issue that we will solve through proper legislation. So it makes it into politics, but that's not the intent. The intent is to preserve the health and well-being of our children and our community members. We don't want to breathe in dirty, toxic air.
You know what would really put the kibosh on people coming to Illinois and coming to go see Great America or Gurney Mills is a big stamp with the line across it saying, this air in Lake County is contaminated. Don't come at risk of your life.
Yeah. We, this, as part of this movement, we haven't, we're not attacking the businesses. We want what's good for our community, right? We welcome the tourists. We want them to come in.
If they're going to be ill,
exactly. But this problem needs to address to preserve the tourist dollars, to preserve the reputation.
Who's going to come and go to Gurney Theater when they got all these people coming in, all this entertainment in the theater?
The writing is on the wall, and our local Gurney leadership and our local Waukegan leadership need to see it. That if you don't address this problem, you are jeopardizing your tourism. You are jeopardizing your tourist dollars, and you are jeopardizing the well-being of our community and our tax revenue.
And their lives.
And their lives.
What is more important than their life?
Of course.
I mean, taxes, entertainment, whatever.
Our health is our most precious asset.
You have to be alive to enjoy it, to see it. They want to be alive to see their children grow. They want to see their children grow. They want their children to grow. If they're going to die, that's terrible. Yeah. Someone should contact St. Jude's Hospital and let them know that you live in this area.
Yes.
You really should do that. We were friends with Danny Thomas. We knew him well. We went down there to St. Jude's. I could only make it into the lobby because it was so heartbreaking to see at that time all those little children. You couldn't touch them. Their parents, the window glass to their rooms was like 2 or 3 inches thick. You could only put your hand on the window to touch the baby, touch the child.
You didn't want it.
I couldn't. In the lobby were clouds. That was the wallpaper. White and blue clouds. It was very calming, I couldn't. My husband took the tour. I couldn't do it. And to Danny Thomas, I mean, he had, this is what he wanted to do, to save life. To save life. This is what we want to do. We want to save life.
That's right.
In Lake County.
Yes.
How much better could you have it? Save life. Don't get lip service from a politician. Let him go stand by the building and take a picture and let him say he was there. He wants to save life. He wants to save his position. And, you know, he's been 40 years, so give me a break here, you know. Get somebody who really wants to do something. Don't give you lip service. We
need action, we need results, and we need good legislation.
Action. Action speaks louder than words. Action. Very good. I can't believe it's 8:30. I mean, oh my God, it's an hour. We've been back and forth so quickly, but Yolanda, I'm so happy that you came.
Bev, thank you so much for having us on your show.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for letting us reach your audience and your viewers.
And, you know, at any time that you feel you need to come on, you want to bring someone on, you want to bring a legislator on, maybe, that would be good. Let them get some billing, you get some billing, let's get the job done.
Great.
Because this is really a tragedy looking for somewhere to happen.
Yes.
And how do we know that it hasn't happened? We don't. I mean, we don't. Not like Flint, Michigan.
For those individuals who have impact, who have experienced an impact due to these emissions, it's a tragedy. And we're trying to prevent future tragedies. This is why we're here, and this is why we're advocating so hard. It's like we don't want this poison in our air. It's just wrong.
Absolutely, and like you said, you are not striking Medline because of what they're packaging.
No.
But it's the
sterilization. We want Medline can stay in our community if they are not sterilizing their products with ethylene oxide and emitting it. They can switch to alternative methods that are safer, that don't harm the community. They can relocate their sterilization part of their business away from the residential area. They can continue to manufacture and do their business in Lake County. We're not asking them to completely just pick up and leave and shut down. We're asking them to be responsible, to be a good corporate citizen.
No better words could I have ever said, my goodness sakes. Yolanda, thank you so much. My hands warmed up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us in your home or your place of business. We so appreciate it. Have a good evening, a wonderful week, and see you next week on North Shore Live, Cooper's Corner. And if you can help, or if you've got someone who you know who could help about this, please do contact
StopEtO.com.
That's correct. StopEtO.com in Lake County, and we'll see what we can do. God bless you all. Thank you for watching the program, and see you next week on North Shore Live, Cooper's Corner. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Yep.